All right. Oh, I can't move my chair. It's in the mud.
Okay, so two things before we... Are we recording already?
Yeah, we can cut it out.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, before we start, is there anything that we want to talk about beforehand? That we do or that we don't want to discuss on the podcast? Is there anything that we don't want to discuss on the podcast that we want to discuss now? And then also, is there anything that we want to talk about to prerequisite what we should talk about on the podcast?
Okay, well, first off...
We can turn this off whenever you're ready, if you want to.
My first answer to that is no.
Okay, cool.
Because the camera's already rolling.
Oh, word. Okay, so we're just... Fuck it.
but to add to that, get out of here, fly. I want to start the podcast off with Kid Crack Rock. And
I got that from that YouTube asshole.
That's what I'm saying.
The YouTube comments are like rude, but they're giving me creative ideas. So like, if you're gonna troll, I'm just gonna use it to be funny, and then I'm gonna get the final laugh out of it. So keep doing it, and I'm just gonna steal it and use it for my own. Thanks.
Yeah. Also, they're rude, but they're not like, lose sleep over it rude.
No, they're just people who
I got
have
called a
nothing better.
crackhead Kid Rock, and I just laughed about it.
They're people who have nothing better to do with their lives than to comment negative stuff on random people's YouTube podcasts.
Touche. Also, I found one of the shorts that you made for us, and you went in on that. You were like, because motherfuckers don't got any goddamn better thing else to do than to come on to some random stranger's podcast and start bothering them.
I don't think I used that many explicits, but it was the feeling was there. Absolutely.
Brooke. Nice. Good one.
I was trying to get it in before you did it. Pause. Before you
did my thing.
I was like,
yeah, good one.
Maybe it echoes. I don't know, but it was a good one.
Reverb. We'll put reverb on that part. Welcome back to another episode of Body Language. That was awesome.
Welcome back to another episode of the... I almost did it. Got me doing it.
Welcome back to another episode of More Madness Podcast, episode 7. Thanks for coming and kicking it with us. Body Language isn't a podcast anymore. Don't know where that came from. Muscle memory, old habits die hard. What do you do?
That just means you're getting as comfortable with it as you were on the last podcast.
That's
so
true.
We're finally in a flow state, and we're super creative, and we're glad you guys are watching and listening and enjoying everything. We appreciate all the feedback, positive or negative, and the trolls. Like I was saying earlier, keep it coming, because I'm going to use it for my own comedy, and I'm going to get the last laugh on it.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for your views and your engagement.
Guess who's getting a YouTube residual check? Not you, asshole.
Right here. Neither are we, actually. We're not getting one yet either, but maybe eventually.
We will. We're all well on our way.
Maybe we'll get one of those soon. But
also, backyard cast.
Yeah, this is my backyard. We were on Ty's porch last time, and now we're in my backyard.
Mm-hmm. Drinking Bush Twisted Tea Light.
Before we go too crazy on the podcast, I got you a present.
You did?
I did.
You got me a gift?
It's a good old present just for you. It's
no, you didn't.
Do you know what it is?
Yes.
It's the Post Malone cups from Raising Cane's. They're limited edition, and I went and got one for you and one for me, so I can do this.
Jeremy, I was just talking.
Were you?
About this today.
I figured you saw it, and I figured you were gonna get one, so I figured I'd get you one before. The thing is, what the cool thing
I am loved. I'm loved.
There's 4 different ones, and I thought like you could go and you could be like, hey, can I get 2 of the 4? They come out once a week, so they only had one available right now. So this one is the one that's available right now, and come in the next one, come next week they'll have another one, and yeah. But hey. Yeah, I wanted to get you one because I figured you were gonna get one. So
hey man, thank you.
For sure.
No lie, not kidding. We were talking about a specific person a minute ago.
Yeah.
I told her this morning. I said, can we find the closest Cane's? Because Posty's doing like a cup thing, and she was like, oh, I saw that. And I was like, there's 4 of them and I'd like to get one. There's a Cane's within at least 2 hours of us somewhere. I would like to go and get a cup because I'm a mega fan. I got a framed, not a poster or a picture, a framed photo of this man on my wall. I love me some Austin Post. Okay, so
say it's Post Malone and Mike for you, and I know that if it involves either one of those, like, you'll go to the end of the world for it.
I will.
So I figured I would do it for you.
Thank you, brother. Much love. If you don't have a friend like this in your life, stop being an asshole. So nice
be
people
that
will
friend. Hey, be that friend for somebody else.
Good, yeah, touche.
I was gonna say, you can find a friend like that, but you can also be that friend, and
more importantly, be that friend.
Make the world a better place by being that friend.
I like that. Touche. I love it, dude. I'm so pumped. I was just talking about this. It's in my freaking hand.
I saw the like billboard for it yesterday, and I was like,
my boy needs that.
I was like, Ty's coming over this week, and I better go get one. And then we were supposed to be tomorrow that you were coming over, but then you're like, hey, let's do it today. And I was like, ooh, I gotta go ahead and go get one of those now. So I went and got it this morning. And yeah,
I love you, man.
I asked, I was like, how can I get 2 cups? And they're like, well, you have to order a combo and blah blah. And I was like, well, give me 2 combos and make sure both of them have the Post Malone cups. And they're like, okay. And so got it.
You're the man, dude. You're the man. This is the only time I'm gonna be drinking out of this too, by the way.
You're gonna frame it. You're gonna shadow box it.
I'm gonna get all 4 of them.
No, I would hope you would get all 4 of them. I figured.
Look, I got a Beer Bongs and Bentleys, like ode the barbed wire. I got the Hollywood's Bleeding Tombstone, and I got the Stony photo. The Stony photo's in the frame. I'm gonna get all 4 cups.
Oh. Have your own little shrine. Like Helga Pataki
to Arnold, right? No shit.
Arnold.
Also, if you know, you know. Okay, if you know the Helga Pataki reference, you know. If you don't, well, kind of refers back to what I said earlier. If you that's probably why you don't have a friend like Jeremy. So, dude, no, be like, damn, man, this is really nice. It's got a little light up underneath it, and like all 4 cups. This is cool. How much was this frame? You know,
it's gold plated.
Yeah, and I'll be like, it's about $1.50. Well, how much for the cups? $4.99 a piece. I got about $20 worth of cups. Right. And a $150 frame with an LED light. I love it. And I'm pumped, dude.
And then some ceremonial candles. I can see it. I can definitely see it.
Also, all right, hot topic right now. Going off on the internet ether. I want your views on the Ocean Gate thing.
It's really dumb, and I think that 4 or 5 billionaires who spent $200,000 to go in a submarine that had didn't pass inspection and all that shit. I think it's one of those things. I hate that people died. It's a human life. But at the same time, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. If I had $200,000 to just do something with, I damn sure wouldn't be going to the bottom of the ocean in a propane tank controlled by a PS2 controller. Wouldn't do that at all. I would do some much better things with my $200,000. So, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. R.I.P. I hate it for them, but like, how dumb can you be?
It is a little stupid, isn't it? Also, wasn't even a gaming controller. It was the cheaper off-brand.
It was the knockoff
gaming controller. It was the controllers that I replace Rowan's with when he destroys his original ones. It's that one, dude.
To punish him.
Not even to punish him, but just like, okay, you could spend 60 on the name brand or 25 on the same one that just doesn't have the Xbox logo. And it doesn't vibrate when you fall. It doesn't vibrate when you fall.
There's no shock.
You know? Do you remember when that came out, when the PlayStation, like when they put the little magnet wheels in the toggles?
I remember I had a GameCube. I think that might have come out before. I don't remember. But when I had my
it most definitely came out before the PlayStation 2.
I think it did.
It was like in between the 1 and then the Xbox and the 2.
Yeah. my GameCube had one in it, and I remember I played a game. I think it was Metal Gear Solid, and there's a
Snake.
Yeah,
Snake.
Yeah, there was like a cutscene, and he like breaks the fourth wall, and he says, "Put your controller down, and I'll move it, on the floor." Like he was a psychic character, or whatever. And I was like, okay, and I put the controller down, and all it does is he makes it vibrate, but it was like the max setting, and so the controller was moving across, and he was pretending like he was doing it from the game, and I was like, what the fuck is
That's
going on?
so cool, though.
No, that was the thing. Is like it was such a cool idea for them to break the fourth wall like that.
Circa 1999.
No, it wasn't.
2001. In between there.
It was probably like 05.
What is up?
It was probably like 04, 05. Maybe.
Yeah, it's true. No, that's true because
Maybe
I was
like
in high school
03,
when that came
04.
out. Yeah, touche. Also, pause. What the fuck with the flies?
I don't know.
They're not on you. They're on me.
No, they're flying around, and I don't know why there's so many.
What the fuck, son?
I told you before that when when shoes get dirty and they're beyond.
Let me take those home and clean them for you,
I
sir.
can clean them. I just haven't taken the time to clean them yet. These are my Air Max. That's another thing I've learned about becoming a dad and a homeowner and stuff like that. You eventually just get some shoes that are like, oh, these are my outside shoes, and you just leave these ones outside. These are just some Air Max. They were cheap. I can't remember. I got them off
$110. No big deal.
They weren't that cheap, but I got them off of like Sneakers on a deal, and they were super cool, and I used to rock them a lot, and then they got dirty, and I was like, I'll get around to it, and I never got around to it, and I was like, I'll just leave them outside, and so these are my outside shoes, and they're like covered in mud and stuff, and
Polka dot 5.0s?
I think they're 95s.
95s?
I don't
No. That's not a
I
95.
think these are the Air Max 95.
No, sir. 95 has a way bigger bubble.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know. They're Air Max. That's how I know that.
And the 95s don't have the plastic eyelets on the side.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm wearing crawfish boots. I'm wearing shrimping boots. They're brand new. I got them for Father's Day. Let's go check them out. Read them and wait.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yep, look at me go. Little accent camouflage in case you don't need to be seen. Know what I'm saying?
That's the part that's up out of the water. And
right. If you stand real still and don't move your mouth, they won't know you're here, man.
Because of that camouflage, that little bit of camouflage on the ankle, they're like, where'd Ty go?
Oh shit! There he
is.
is.
Right there. Oh, he moved his mouth. Oh man, I saw the Busch Light can just.
I saw the Busch Light can.
The Busch Light can was moving out of thin air, and then I realized it was Ty. It's because he's got that camo on his boots.
I knew I smelled a dirty, cheap cigarette somewhere.
You better not be smoking cheap cigarettes.
Also,
cigarettes at all.
Let's address that. Like,
I got so much hate for telling you that on YouTube. Again, so many people
lay off
like,
the man, y'all.
Let him smoke. He's like, oh, those vapes are so much worse for you.
I'm sorry.
Like, dude, I was like, how? Like, who's watching our channel? Is like old 60-year-old, 50, 60-year-old people who just chain smoke all day watching our.
Blanche and Daryl, so pissed you didn't let me smoke. So pissed.
I didn't even remember their name.
Blanche and Metal Mike was upset. Although,
Blanche.
hey, but for real though, thank you guys for the engagement, and we appreciate the love. Like, even if they're kind of sideways comments, we enjoy shit like that too, man. We're just here to have a silly goose time and do silly goose shit, and that's all
that
we're
shows
doing.
you that we do read the comments, though.
Yeah, man, we're still having a good time. And if you want to say something nice, man, say that too.
We would we appreciate that. Like I said, if you want to troll, I'm gonna just steal it and use it for my own,
our clips.
I'm gonna use it for my own benefit. So I'm the winner in that case. But if you want to say something nice, we'll clip that too, and we'll show you some love. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and also I saw something the other day. I sent something to you about a gentleman out of Georgia. It was like it's kind of like a post indie kind of sound, but it was the artist that was like, look, if you got a podcast, let me know. I want to be on it.
Yeah.
It got my wheels turning. If there's anyone like we're not just going to have strangers on our podcast just because you watch. We appreciate you, but we're not just going to randomly have you on. But like for people who are like close with us or even like acquaintances with us, and you want to be on the podcast, or you got things you want to say, or like we would love to add to the podcast. It would be nice to have a phone segment where we could do like an email thing where like we have questionnaires, like where we can, take 5 questions throughout a 2 or 3 week span and then read them back on the following podcast. Or we could do like a lucky draw, where I saw on a podcast once,
Like a mailbag type thing?
Like a mailbag, but it's like a draw out of the hat. If you want to be called on our podcast, we'll call you and we'll like dick around with you on our podcast and make you a part of the podcast for just a quick few minutes.
That would actually be really cool.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so anything like that, if you guys want, and if not, all good too. Fuck you. But it's if you do, that's great, man. Like hit us up, man. We'll Post Malone cup it.
Hey.
Okay, go back to Ocean Gate, because I have some things to say about that. So you think, like, your whole, like, political stance on it is, like, billionaires just flexing the billionaire nut and doing stupid shit and winning stupid prizes. Like, I read everybody's profile that was deceased in the Ocean Gate vessel. And the one that stuck out to me the most was the youngest young man that was in the submarine. It was like an early 20s-year-old nephew of one of the billionaires. And the wife of the billionaire that passed away in the vessel said that her nephew was terrified to step into the submarine because he had gotten wind of the fact that it was, for
Unsafe?
lack of a better term, not signed off on.
Yeah, word.
And that tripped him out. And with like reading that profile and that quote from that woman, dude, these flies are eating me.
I know, they're crazy.
It made me think, like, what a terrible way to die.
Yeah.
And then hours later, it says that they didn't lose signal and drift off. They imploded.
Yeah, no, that's what
they died on impact.
Yeah, which
they've been dead for 5 fucking days.
I was about to say, that's the other thing is, like,
thank God for that.
That's what I was getting.
Thank God.
I was trying to figure out a way to say that, like, I guess
I would much rather anyone, including you, to die
instantly,
bam, than to sit for 5 days in your own piss and shit and die slowly.
Yeah, no, they literally would have all just suffocated. Like, that's exactly what would have
while
happened.
Smelling the other one die.
Yeah, like they all would have just suffocated.
Imagine being the last one alive.
Awful. Yeah, that would have been terrible.
Having to sit into a mound of 4 dead bodies, one of which being your uncle or best colleague, friend.
No, I guess that's the one. I guess, like I said, it's hard to say it's a good thing, but the best case scenario
of the worst scenario.
It was instantaneous.
Yeah,
like something happened and the whole thing just imploded and they were all just dead instantly. Which again is awful, but if you're gonna go, like, I would rather
than a 5-day suffer.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, obviously that kid had enough wherewithal to be like, this isn't safe, I don't want to do this. But his uncle probably forced him to get on it, or just like peer pressured him into like, oh no, it's fine, just get on the boat, whatever. And so, like, again, it's like, how out of touch do you have to be to spend that much money to go in a crazy, not legit submarine?
Miniature.
Yeah. And then it's just, obviously those people weren't thinking, and they were, I don't know. My bottom line is I had $200,000 to spend on something, I'm damn sure not going to the bottom of the ocean. I'm going to do something way more helpful to me and my life than to just go in
and see the Titanic,
a shit can to the bottom of the ocean to look at the Titanic, and it's no.
Just to say, hey, I looked at it.
Just to say, hey, I was there. I did it. I mean, they weren't looking for anything. They were just going to go look at it.
Yeah.
There's a replica model that you can go to in, like, Vegas, I think it might be, where you can just, it's the exact same thing, except it's not the actual thing. It's a replica. But no. Sorry they died, but, like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, what were you thinking? That's kind of my thing. It's like this thing was already like a prototype to begin with, and then it wasn't signed off on, and it already seemed sketchy, and then all these red flags from a bunch of other... I saw a thing on Puberty on Instagram where James Cameron linked it basically to the real life disaster that was the Titanic.
That kind of makes sense.
It's like the captain didn't sign off on it. The Japanese designer that helped design the ship didn't sign off on the original Titanic in the early 1900s because he was like, can we build this, leash it, and then pull it back in to see how it runs before we put 10,000 people on it or however many people are on there. And kind of like the Ocean Gate thing, they were like, hey, we got this cool little miniature submarine. Let's get some people who can afford to be on it and just guinea pig them and then pull them back in.
Yeah. That makes sense. I never made that connection, but that does make a lot of sense. And yeah, it's kind of like...
James Cameron said the same fucking thing. He's like, he said...
I just really hope they don't make a movie about it.
That would be awful.
I think, and I mean, people were making jokes about like, oh, Titanic 2, and I was like, don't do that.
Yeah,
like,
it's crass.
It's in bad taste, A, and B, like, it's... I don't want to see that. I already am over it just for the past 3 or 4 days of it being all over the news and the internet. I don't want to watch a movie about it.
Well, you know that it'd be like a panic room movie because it'd take place mostly in this fake vessel, this fake miniature submarine. You know? Yeah. It'd be like a panic room situation. Also, James Cameron said that he went to the Titanic 30 times before he directed Titanic.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? And crazy. It makes you think like, you know, as musicians and artists in full, like what it takes us to have inspiration. You know, we have like pocket moments of like when you're sitting in your scrubs at your desk and you like have a creative thought, or you're on your drive home or drive to work, or, you know, you're holding Mac, or even sometimes like cleaning up dog shit and just like having this creative wheel just run and run and run. And then like you look at your finished work on like all this mental, sometimes turmoil, but sometimes just energy and thought process. And then you take yourself out of that and put yourself in like the flesh vessel of James Cameron after you hear something like that. And you think, okay, this man not only has to write this movie and then direct this movie, but he has to physically embody what it would be like to be not only each character, but to seek out individuals that can replicate this timeline, the body language of the people in that timeline, the wardrobe, like the mouth science behind it all, the training someone to talk a certain way, walk a certain way, look a certain way, and then bring all these hundreds of people together because you have this great idea to shoot a movie about something that is so stuffy and old-headedly backyard bullshit, like just not entertaining at the time. It's year 2000, like worried about the fucking world dying. Why are we going back 98 years and fucking, or 88 years and fucking with an old ship and then it's like you have to really break in. You think about that, like you can't just watch something by James Cameron and be like, I can do that. Like, no, you fucking can't. Like, it genuinely, it holds up to that part of the entertainment industry in this timeline nowadays, where you see someone that makes trash music makes like a heavy 7 figures. Or you see someone who makes movies, but you don't know who they are, and they're like riding around in like the newest Bugatti, and you're like, I don't even know who that is. Oh, he made Life of Pi? Like, didn't even know that. Like, what, you know? And so like you think like it really does. It brings light to a few things. There's too many people on the planet for you to know who everyone and everything is.
100%.
Secondly, that whole like 90s kid spectrum of like, oh, I can do that, or oh, watch me. No, you can't, because it genuinely takes fruited talent that not everyone doesn't possess. Thirdly, calm control, like being able to calmly and a matter-of-factly come up with a script, a directed pictorial image of how you want something to look, and then convey that to somebody and then deliver it for you, and then it go through the shit, make it through the shit, and then come out the other side still a fucking flower. It's like, that is talent that not your everyday human being possesses. A. B. James Cameron spoke on the Ocean Gate thing. You got the guy who made Titanic, one of the most successful movies of motion picture history. Give you a backhanded something on wanting to just visit the Titanic.
Yeah.
What perspective is that?
Yeah.
Like, yikes.
Going back to what you were saying, though, I think, it goes back to what I was saying about there's no such thing as bad art, just art that's appreciated by different people.
The perspective of it, yeah.
Anybody can do anything they want to do, but people like the absolute masters of their craft, like James Cameron or like whoever else you want to think of as like your favorite artist, director, creator, musician, whatever, like they take so much time. The reason they are your favorite is because they do something that just exceeds your expectations and it blows your mind to the point, because I'm sure there's people out there who's like, fuck James Cameron, but subjectively speaking, James Cameron is very talented. He has one of the best movies in history, and like, people can see that, but there's still people who don't think James Cameron is all that good, and they probably think somebody else is better. So it takes a lot of time and effort to be that great, but just because you do that doesn't mean you're going to impress all 7 billion people in the entire world.
True that.
So I get it, but at the same time, like, you also can't expect to make everybody happy or impress everybody about, what you're creating and what you're doing. You just have to make something that you're happy with. And if he saw the Titanic story and was like, I have an idea for that, and I think I can pull it off, and I think I can make other people like it too, then he's going to do it, and he was satisfied with it, and he put it out. And obviously he did something so right that so many millions of other people connected with it. And they're like, this guy's a really good director or movie producer, whatever. And yeah, so it takes talent. It takes time and effort to have that kind of talent. But just because you have that talent for somebody else doesn't mean other people are going to see that talent.
It's bizarre to put that into like thought perspective, because I guess like the world is such a big, small place. Like, you think about all the creators and all like the people who are making sounds and visuals out there for people to look at and enjoy and listen to and enjoy. Like, to have someone like James Cameron comment on such a catastrophe, that just furthers my point in a small manner, in a way where like you made something that was like, not only you're such a creative genius, and you made something that like even people who don't really like it will sit through and watch it simply because it's watchable and you're that talented, but to be called on by like a higher source of
as
like government control, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you've really hit a chord with somebody, and it's wild to think about. And it's crazy that it's not, well, yeah, it is. It's crazy. It's crazy in the most lightest form that I could think of, in the right of having someone like James Cameron, or like imagine like a famous DJ, like Chami or Skrillex or Marshmello, and then like having a Travis Scott situation happen to them, and then them having to speak on having a show that was so big. And when it all started, because they heard something and they were like, that's incredible, I want to do my own rendition of this. They make their own rendition, it connects with millions of people, then that millions of people listening to that creation takes you to a platform that exposes you to other people, and then something bad happens, and now you're called upon like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, it's wild to think about, like, and I think it all has to do with, like, a subsetting, like, fame and like, popular story like this OceanGate thing at such a high level of, like, focal point. Like, we're focusing on this so much that it is crazy to think about that, where, like, the Florida iguana story, like, where they were doing the SOS on iguanas, like, just if you see an iguana, kill that motherfucker. Do you remember that a few years back?
I do not remember that.
It was, like, right at the base of the pandemic. And they were saying that iguanas had become so invasive to golf courses, swimming pools, like, pre-built foundated homes. They were getting stuck in walls of, like, fabricated homes. They were eating up a bunch of, like, local gardening, and, like, it was like they were just infiltrating everything. Like,
that
they were,
sounds very Florida.
Florida.
I'll be completely honest. I had no idea that was even going on.
Really?
But it sounds.
Well, there was just videos of people, like, running over iguanas in Walmart parking lots with, like, with, like, Walmart carts.
Iguanas were that, like, like that. There was that many out in the wild.
In Florida, yeah. Well, they're an invasive species.
I had no idea.
They're like a
but
python.
that sounds fuck, like a python.
Yeah. Well, you know, they say don't, like, in Florida, they're like, if you're in another state and you have a python, you're okay to set it free, or maybe do something similar to that in that lane of whatever. But if you're in Florida, because of the Everglades and the things that reside in the Everglades, you're not allowed.
Did not know that.
To release a python or any sort of pygmy.
Again, that sounds very,
snake.
very Florida. Don't let your iguanas or your pythons go in Florida.
Right.
You just don't, because we already have too many of those. What the fuck? Too many pythons, and I'm never going to Florida again.
Dude, I'm telling you, Florida's right there. I've been in Florida twice today.
I was about to say.
Twice today.
I can get to Florida in less than 30 minutes from my house. I had no idea any of this was going on.
So, in my mind, like, it's similar to that iguana. I fucking forgot my point. I know my point was, but not my main point. Son of a bitch.
My bad. That's on
No,
me.
it's all good.
I just didn't know all that was going on with iguanas and pythons.
I thought, okay, well, the python thing's been, like, a thing since we were kids. Don't do that since we were kids. But the iguana thing, like, that was very strictly, like, it was, I don't want to be too or crass on this podcast any more than I already have.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Not this episode, but just, you know, in general. But I remember when I heard it, I was, like, kind of, like, all for it. Maybe it's because, like, my backwoods upbringing a little bit. And I was like, yeah, man, fuck those iguanas. Because I thought they were going to equalize them in a more humane manner. You know, like, maybe pop them with a pellet gun from far away, or maybe, like, do like how they do mosquitoes, how, like, it'll delouse them, and then maybe you can grab them, contain them, have somebody come pick them up, or, like, maybe set out a trap and it would mouse trap them, or they would eat a little piece of poison, and then you'd find something, like, not so crazy. But these motherfuckers in Walmart parking lots were grabbing them out of trees and slamming them on the ground, and they were, like, exploding like water balloons. And it's like, I've seen an iguana in real life, like, in person.
I have too. I'll say that, but I saw it as, like, someone's pet. Like, probably not an invasive species iguana.
Never.
Like someone's pet.
A domesticated
iguana.
situation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, so have I. Now that you say that, that's how I've seen them. But I can't imagine, like, seeing something like, oh, check it out, iguana. You know, like, oh, cool, baby iguana, check it out. And then, like, a few years go by, and then they become a small issue to the more upper middle class, lower, higher class community. And so now they're directing you, because of your pools, driveways, and golf courses, to grab them. And what they said was to grab them and put them in a bag and tie it up. So basically, like, slowly kill them.
Or suffocate them?
Yeah, suffocate them, or shoot them with a pellet gun, or call your local, like,
animal control.
Control. And it was the most bizarre thing because I was like all for it, and then I got a little wind of these videos of what was going on, and I'm like, dude, this is not like even the reddest of necks. I don't think that even they would be okay with.
No, that sounds if they're bashing them on the ground until they die. Like,
this is some special place in hell type of treatment.
That's awful. Like,
yeah, no, it was rough. Like, yeah, look that shit up.
Like, where do you draw the line of animal cruelty for something like that?
Well, that was my whole thing because I was surprised that not only the entire state of Florida and their news division of the whole state was like pushing for this, but why a state that is not only gunning for like medical marijuana, like heavy Democratic state, like why you would do such an old head thing.
God, that is terrible.
Like, you're already trying to be the new California, so why are you trying to be Mississippi by fucking grabbing these bitches by the tail and popping up against a tree like a water balloon? That seems real like old head.
Yeah.
Real old dipshit. So I don't know. How we got on that, don't know. For frequent viewers, I know you hear us and see us do this.
I was actually just thinking that. I was like, how did we get here?
On a regular Ocean Gate.
It started with
Ocean Gate.
It started with billionaires in the ocean, and now we're talking about iguanas getting bashed over the head by a tree. Like, I just don't. Maybe you can figure it out. You can connect the dots and look like that one meme of the.
We segue shit sometimes, man.
The dots.
We segue shit sometimes. Oh, Rowan just sent me a photo. He said, look what mom got me at the thrift store. It was a pair of white felt wallabies.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Because
wow.
You know, I wear my brown ones quite a bit under my baggier jeans, and they look real sleek and smooth. And they don't
Those look comfy.
They don't make the brown leather ones in youth. They only make the khaki ones that the girls would wear when we were in school. Remember that?
Yeah.
And because the ones that I have, they look like, with the jeans over them, they look like shit kickers. They look handsome as fuck. But these are cool, man.
I like those. Those look comfy. I didn't know what you were talking about at first, but
Wallabies?
I didn't know that they were called wallabies.
Well, Supreme does a lot with Clark's.
Do they?
A lot. Supreme and Clark's have a lot of shoes together. Wallabies, actually.
I'll have to look into those.
Do you remember when they did the Paisley ones? They did the bandana print Paisley Wallabies, and they were Supreme.
I don't remember those.
And then they did
I guess I only see
one.
like the Nike and the sneakerhead stuff, and maybe I'm just not into the Supreme section enough of everything else. I'm only into like the sneakers and the streetwear stuff.
Which is weird to me because like I went through like a 4-year Supreme. It wasn't a phase because like it's still very important to me. It's still like things that I like to wear. I wear their underwear. I like their quaint items like their caps, their underwear, their socks, like their keychains, their accessories.
The accessories, yeah.
When it comes to their shirts and their shorts and their pants, it's an avant-garde style that I love and wish I could pull off. But I'm 6'1", 6'2", 175 pounds, and like they don't make clothes for people like me. And so I would love to be a part of that a little bit more, but like outdoor attire and Target and Levi's just seem to make shit for me, you know?
See, I have a few Supreme shirts and, you know, just other streetwear brand and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know. It's okay. I mean, I like it. I like the style, the simplicity that we were talking about before, where it's just very basic and just nothing too crazy or over the top or anything like that, but it still has like I don't know. It still says a lot it says a lot without actually like making a lot of noise.
We've spoke about this before. It's the delivery.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you could be...
But what I'm getting at real quick is that no, it's good. Supreme is cool, but like it's an every once in a while type thing. It's not like every single drop I'm gonna be.
Well, it's because you're not a hype beast.
No,
you're a.
I like to dress that way sometimes, but I'm not constantly chasing the next drop, and I'm also not a reseller because that's a lot of the people who.
That's a big drive.
That's a big part of like all these people who are like constantly chasing those Supreme drops and stuff like that, they get them and then resell them for like 5-10 times the price.
Or they get 5 of them, they keep one and sell 4, so they get to be a part of the collecting and the resale, where it's like that's kind of like book. It's okay. It's kind of like I'm a musician dash composer, period dash producer. Okay. I can produce, but I mainly like write, compose, perform. You're more like corner. You're like, well, you left some dust in here. You're that guy. You're the guy to come in and be like, there's some cobwebs in the sound.
I know. I
like
you're saying.
You're the tightener of it all.
Like the mixing engineer type.
You're the one to come and be like, it's clean, son, but you missed the spot.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And like, so in perspective, I think that's like, imagine having a DJ come in to play a show that never DJs ever, but he wants to be a part of the show. That's like how like your clothing hype interest is. It's like you're involved in it, you stay plugged in, but you don't make a purchase every week.
Right.
It's kind of like, well, just because that DJ doesn't DJ 4 times a month like you do doesn't make his set any less important because he DJs once every 2 months.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like it's...
And that goes back to like the other thing we were talking about, where you can be a DJ or you can be a producer or you can be a DJ and producer.
Yeah.
You can do...
Or producer DJ, if you really want to break it down.
You can be multiple... you can wear multiple hats. And just because you're not wearing the same hat as this other person doesn't make you any less talented or any less important than the other person.
Yeah.
So like you do more like rock stuff and acoustic stuff, and yes, you DJ and you do some electronic stuff too, but like me, where our like Venn diagram is the electronic a little bit, but like I'm more on the hip hop side of stuff, and I do more like rhyming and flows and you know, the production side of it is very like heavy electronic, and yours is more of a like down tempo electronic.
Bare.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like an acoustic type of electronic, as oxymoron as that actually sounds, but yours is very like bare bones,
string driven.
Yeah, string driven stuff. Mine is very like heavy 808 driven.
808 driven.
808 driven. It's just but yeah, so but that doesn't make either one of us better than the other one. You know, you may know more about one topic than I know about, and I may know more about one topic than you know about, but that doesn't make us any less like talented than the other one. So
I never even like put it in that perspective. I think I've always given you more accolades than I gave myself. Simply because like your music does better than mine, but that's because your consistency of it is way thicker than mine. I was
about to say, it's consistency, and it's also I take the time to like put shit on Facebook and social media and the internet and stuff like that, and not saying that makes me any better. I'm
just saying you get more plays, you get more attention. My thing was I just do Instagram. You're like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Don't even use my Snapchat, putting it on there. Like, or whatever you have, you know, like I have a SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, and it'll maybe hit Facebook when it's done and then it's on my wall. Instagram, it'll be like, boom, it's coming out, boom, boom, boom. TikTok, it's like, hey, I released this last week, you know? And so
it's really hard, but like, unfortunately in 2023, like you have to be able to catch people's attention on your own. And this was another conversation. I don't know how we got this far again, where we got
segued.
We segued crazy, and I don't even know where we did it.
That's what we do.
But I was talking to somebody about this. It's always been this way. It's just more in our hands now as an independent artist. In the past, like all these big name people had a team or a label or somebody who was constantly putting out news and putting out information and keeping people up to date with what the band or the artist was doing. Now it's all in the artist's hands, as far as like everybody's on Instagram, and it's your job to put your stuff on Instagram so people can see it. Whereas
you go as far as your talent will literally take you, and then at that point, the talent has to speak for itself. It's up to you to take your shit to that wall.
Right. And again, different people like different things. Just because one person likes something doesn't mean it's trash. Just because one person doesn't like something doesn't mean that it's trash. It's just that one person likes it.
I used that the other day. I quoted you. I did to my mother and person we were talking about. I quoted you. I said something about that because the kiddos were in front of us, and they were like, one of them was like, hey, I made this, and then the other one was like, I made this, it's not as good as his. And I said, let me tell you something. I said, I was talking to Rowan. I said, Uncle Jeremy? And he was like, yes, sir. And then, I was like, yes, sir. And I said, he told me something very important, and I took it with me. And I've posted on Facebook a time or two. Like, I love that quote. And it's a very common penny on the ground quote, but it's like, goes so far.
No, it's just...
I quote you.
It's definitely something to remember because, just because you like something doesn't mean someone else is going to like it. But just because somebody else doesn't like it doesn't mean that it's trash. It's just different stuff for different people.
Taste and eye of the beholder.
Yeah. So, I forget where I was going with that.
Sorry.
But,
it's my bad. We do that all the time.
We do that a lot, actually. We just
talking about Ocean Gate.
I was going to say
40 minutes
tangents, and then we get so far off on a tangent that I can't remember how we got here in the first place. And
hang on.
Oh no, we might get copyrighted with that. I can't.
No shit, right? I'm glad he stopped playing Bruce Springsteen in the back earlier.
Spruce Springsteen, he means, not
Spruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen. Spruce Springsteen.
Spruce Springsteen.
Either one, I'm pretty sure whoever you said that in front of, they wouldn't even catch it. They'd be like, What were we talking about?
I don't even remember.
God damn it. Are we gonna have to rewind this fucking thing and then review it?
Actually, let's take a break real quick.
Okay, take a break. We'll be right back. It's been a recent thing. Hey, also, we're back. We couldn't decide what we were discussing previous to the break.
We went back, and each tangent led to another tangent. So it was like the original idea that we were talking about was probably at the beginning of the episode. So then we were just like, you know what? We'll just come back and we'll have a new topic to start a tangent on.
And I just come up with a new topic. You've released a track since our last podcast. Plug.
It has been since the last podcast. The new song's called BLMG, featuring the homie Mr. 88. It features my vocals as well as his vocals, and then I'm on the production end of it as well. But it's like a heavy bass, dubsteppy trap, EDM track. But
it's a dubstep track.
If you want to call it dubstep, we can call it dubstep.
It's a dubstep dash trap track.
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
With hip-hop vocals.
I was about to say, and that kind of describes most of my music now, is very heavy bass with, like, trap aspects to it, but then also including, like, a lot of hip-hop, because everything I do musically stems from hip-hop, because that's where I started from. So my new track, BLMG, is a very heavy bass music track featuring vocals from me and Mr. 88. The basic idea, BLMG stands for Blue Lights Mean Go, which means that if you see blue lights, then you need to get out of wherever you are. Because
quite literally, I don't know if Jeremy lives this way. It's like quite literally how I live my life.
That's why the song is real life, because that's how it goes, and that stems from. That all started from a thing I had with a couple friends back in the day when I used to go to like house parties and do other sketchy stuff, and we just had this motto, and we were like BLMG, and we were like Blue Lights Mean Go, and that was always just a motto. And then we grew up and everybody whatever, but I always remember that BLMG, Blue Lights Mean Go, and I was like, I'm gonna write a song about that, because I think a lot of people have had similar experiences, either still or when they were growing up. They always, everyone's, not everyone, but a lot of people have been at that house party, and then all of a sudden, the neighbors call the cops Cops show up and everybody just takes off running like not ants, like roaches. When you turn the light on, just scatter. And that's happened to me so many times, but that's always been the motto is BLMG, blue lights mean go. Yep. So wrote a song about it and got Mr. 88 on it, and it's super dope. And shout out to everybody who's listened to it already.
And Mr. 88.
And Mr. 88. Mr. 88 crushed the... that's a long time homie, actually. Like, I just recently saw, like, an old Facebook post where it was like, I met him 10 years ago.
I saw that.
It was like 10 years ago I did the first show. I ever did my first show ever with him. And ever since then, me and him have just been doing stuff. And
He's not incredibly active, though.
He slowed down a little bit, but that was because he's focusing on building his like clothing brand, and he's
other endeavors and stuff.
He's doing other endeavors. He's still doing music. He's just not as heavy on the gas pedal as he was. He's kind of slowed down with that in order to pursue different things, but he still is doing music.
Fuck yeah, dude. So if you guys haven't listened to that, link in description. We'll link that up for sure. Also, my favorite thing about this podcast as of late, when you do things like that, is like our clips.
Yeah,
that's my new favorite thing.
The clips are fun, and I think that's what kind of draws people in. I don't know if you guys found us on YouTube or if you found us on IG or TikTok or Facebook or somewhere else first and then came over to YouTube to watch the full podcast. But either way, I think the micro content is what these days in 2023, that's what catches people's attention and then draws them in is people want easily consumable content, 15 to 30 second clips of something, the highlight reel per se. And then once they're like, hey, like, I wonder what else is going on with this podcast. And then they come and subscribe and they watch the whole thing. And then we're here and we're talking to you about all our weird tangents, and you can follow along, or you can just be as lost as we are by the end of it.
Or you get yelled at via typing to let me smoke, or I get called a crackhead Kid Rock.
Keep up the engagement. Thank you.
True. Good point. Secondly, can we talk about that? Okay. Take away my hair. What about me is Kid Rock? First off, from Montgomery, Alabama, not from Detroit.
Detroit, Michigan. I think.
Also, Kid Rock's first few records, I don't care who you are or where you're at in life right now, if you just go back and listen to Dr. Cool or... Come on!
Mac and Chelsea just got home. At us out the window.
Come on! Don't be weird. You're being like your dad. Come on.
Come on now. Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, sorry. Here comes Potts.
Whole family's out here.
Oh, look at him in his Vans.
Hey!
What's up, dude?
Did you have fun at the pool? Yeah?
Come say hey.
You wanna come get on the podcast?
Come get on the podcast, Bubba. Yeah, we're doing cool stuff. You wanna come hang out?
Oh, you were at the pool? You were at the pool? Come tell us about it on the podcast.
Oh my God, you look just like your mother.
You were at the pool? Come tell us about it. Come here.
Come on.
Come here and we can talk about it on the podcast.
Oh. Hey. Oh. Be careful, little mange. Potts, fix it.
Go sit down. Hey, watch your feet. Watch your feet.
I'm just waiting on it to be a disaster.
I'm just...
Here,
I'm going to let it happen.
Okay,
I'm gonna
let it happen.
Come here.
It's called content, buddy, and you're doing a great job at helping curate.
You were at the pool?
Yeah.
Come here.
Hey, girl.
Hi, Bubba. Hey, everybody. This is Mac. Mac,
co-host.
Were you at the pool today?
Yeah.
What'd you guys do at the pool?
You burn?
You got a Bobo?
Yeah.
Where'd you get a Bobo?
Is that right? Is it that
Is this one? Or do you have another Bobo? We're Madness Podcast, episode 7. Like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and farmersonly.com. We have a joint account on there right now, currently. So, like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.
Ready?